My name's Joanne Lyons. I work for Full Power Utilities. I'm one of the program managers here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's been happening in the energy industry. So it's fair to say that at the moment, it's all over the news, the UK energy market is in crisis. Wholesale prices have reached the highest we've ever seen, and there is no real sign of them coming down anytime soon. So with constant news and media reporting of further price increases, it's understandable that business owners can be a little bit worried and confused about the rising cost of their energy bills. Ofgem recently reported that the price cap increase due to happen in October is now going to be at a higher rate than what was expected. So it's now going to be 42% higher, and that is on top of the April increase, which was 54%. So I know that that relates more to the residential sector, but it just shows you, what is happening in the industry, and that the energy crisis is nowhere near to finishing anytime soon. Ofgem has also reported that it is going to be reviewing the price cap every 3 months rather than the 6 months, just to keep up with market movement. So it is an important time to explore all available options as business owners. It's not viable now just to stick with that one supplier and renew year after year with them. It is time to shop around and to look at what else is out there for you. Saying that though, it's hard for business owners to phone up multiple suppliers. It's time consuming, and it is also a stressful time, and it is best completed by someone that has a certain knowledge of the industry, someone that has an understanding of the industry. The reason I say that is because suppliers can be misleading. So when you are speaking to them direct and organising your next energy contracts, they don't always disclose the hidden costs that make up your energy bill. So you could be phoning up British Gas, SSE, and organising your contracts over the phone. You might organise your unit rate, standing charge, lock into a contract for 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 years, even longer. And it's not until you get your first bill that all of the costs are shown. So it might be that you've got your unit rate, your standing charge, and then all of a sudden you've got a feed-in tariff added on. You've got a climate change levy added on. You've got a transportation cost or a distribution cost. The list is endless. You might even be on the wrong VAT. And all of a sudden that price that you secured over the phone isn't quite what you're paying. And at the moment, commercial contracts cannot be broken. So once you have tied into that contract, you cannot get out of it. So if you've signed in for 3 years, you will be paying above what you agreed for the next 3 years. So using a well-established energy consultancy will help you to navigate through these times, okay? So they will be able to provide expert advice as to which supplier to use, and they'll be able to save you time and money by, telling you what the market's doing from across the board. You can make an informed decision as to which energy supplier to use for your next contracts. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about what's been happening in the industry to cause these price rises. So why are we where we're at? And the graph I'm going to show you is a market movement from April 21 to April 22. Now, I'm going to talk about the gas wholesale costs only here. Your bill is made up of a mixture of 40% 40% commodity, which is the wholesale cost, and the 60%, which is non-commodity costs. And that's the taxes and charges and levies that the government put on top of your bill. And that's for things like maintenance of the national grid, perhaps green and renewable schemes. The government have pledged to be carbon neutral by 2050. So someone has to pay for the infrastructure. So that will be things like creating wind turbines, solar farms, etc., and that all comes out of your bill. So if we look at what this snapshot shows, you can see the start of the energy crisis was at the end of summer 21, and then you can see the spikes as to where the price increases happened. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about each of those events in a little bit more detail. But first, we need to go back, because COVID had a huge effect on the prices that we're seeing now. When lockdown first happened in 2020, the energy market was the lowest we'd ever seen. Prices, this is a snapshot from a 10-year period where you can see in July 10 right up until July 21, and you can see there in the summer of July 20, where the rates really dipped. So they were the lowest we'd ever seen. Now, due to lockdown, consumption levels in the UK were at the lowest. So we had a surplus of storage. But then when businesses started to open up, consumption levels started to increase. If we fast forward a year to this summer 21, this was when we started to see the beginning of our energy crisis. So events that affected the market. So due to low wind generation and lack of sun in the summer, storage levels started to decrease. And then demand on our LNG imports went up. So Asia started bidding more for the LNG gas, which is liquefied natural gas. And that created even more of a shortage in the UK. Then a number of the North Sea platforms were closed due to maintenance. This was due to happen through lockdown, but they had to be rescheduled. Again, this caused even more shortage from supply from Europe. And then we had the fire that broke out in September of last year. Now, this was a power converter in Kent, and it knocked out one of the cables that supplies the power from UK to France. And this caused rates to spiral out of control. Okay, so a number of suppliers started to withdraw their pricing. They wouldn't take on any more business, and a lot of residential and commercial suppliers started to exit the market. Then there was uncertainties over Russian supply. Germany postponed the license for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So currently Russia is the second largest importer of gas in the world. Now, if the Nord Stream pipe 2 was to have gone ahead, they would have been the number one gas importer in the world. Now, that has been luckily stopped. That license has been paused by Germany. So just when we thought things couldn't get any worse within the market, unfortunately, Russia declared war on Ukraine, and this made the market spiral completely out of control. Rates were just the highest we've ever seen in the UK. Now, although the UK only receives 6% of their gas from Russia directly, Russia supplies a lot of Europe, and we get about 47% of our gas from Europe. So as you can imagine, prices were just ridiculous. Just to give you a snapshot of what's happening in the market today in May, so current situations. It's fair to say that fear has lessened in the market. Suppliers are now starting to price again. They're taking on new business. They're not pulling prices at the speed that they once were. Previously, you might have got a price from your supplier in the morning. By lunchtime, that price would have been pulled, or when you tried to get a quote, they would have just been refusing to quote business. So you had little or no choice but to stay with the supplier that you were with, and therefore accept the rates that you were being offered. So at the start of May, there was a slight dip in the market, and although rates are the highest, for this time of year, there was a brief moment of a glimmer of hope where the market dipped, and we'd seen prices dip to the lowest since the market crisis started, so the lowest we'd seen in 9 months. However, the market is still very, very volatile, and the reason for the dip was due to the warm weather that we've been having, and we have an excess of supply of LNG gas. And also the fading concerns over Europe accessing the gas from Russia. So as a business owner, what can you do? What is your options? So you have two, really. You can go direct to a supplier. And as I mentioned before, if you're going direct to a supplier, you do have to make sure that you're asking the right questions, make sure that you're understanding what contracts you are tying into before sort of agreeing to that contract. Plus, you do then have to phone around quite a few different suppliers to make sure that you are getting the most competitive rate and not just taking one supplier's rates. Or you can use a well-established energy consultancy, okay? So the benefits of using a consultancy will be that you get expert advice and guidance and help when securing your contracts. You also get help and expert advice on other ways to help reduce your costs. At the moment, the market is what it is. There's not much we can do when it comes to pricing. So you have to look at other ways to reduce. So that might be to make sure that your business is as energy efficient as it can be, LED lighting, making sure that your equipment, your heating infrastructure is all, AA rated. Or you could also look at things like a KVA review, which is another way to help reduce your energy costs. Using an energy consultant will also open up a whole pool of suppliers that a business owner just doesn't have access to, and therefore making sure that they can make an informed choice of which supplier to use and making sure they're getting the most competitive rate. You also have the benefit of locking in. So when I mentioned there at the start of May, there was a dip in the market, using an energy consultancy will help lock in that rate for you, preventing any further price rises and just making sure that you've got that budget security. The procurement service is free, so it means that it is allowing you to see what the market's doing and making that decision as to when it's right for you to renew your energy, rather than waiting for that window where when your supplier is telling you to renew and you only have those rates that they're offering at that time. There's also things like bill validation, checking that you're on the right VAT or checking that you are exempt from paying a certain tax or charge from the government, such as a CCL, which is a climate change levy. So you can check certain industries should be only on 5% VAT and not the 20% VAT. Again, another way of trying to reduce costs for you. You can also have the benefit if you're a business owner that has multi-sites. Using an energy consultant, they will help to tidy up your portfolio, make sure that all of your sites are co-aligned so that all of their renewal dates are at the same time, making sure that you're not falling into out of contract rates, which at the moment are extortionate. So it's making sure that you're never missing that renewal and being pushed onto out of contract rates by your supplier. You also get the benefits of having account management services. Now, this is to help resolve any situations such as if you've got credit issues, so you can't leave your current supplier, if you have, you might be billed incorrectly, and it can take weeks, if not months, to get that resolved with a supplier. And the biggest of all is if your supplier goes bust. What do you do? How do you get some help there? If you're with an energy consultant, what they will do is they will help you navigate your way through this. So when your supply goes bust, what happens is you get pushed to the supplier of last resort. Now, what that means is that's a supplier within the industry that has made a bid for all of those contracts. Now, when you get put with a supplier of last resort, it's very unlikely that you're going to get put on the lowest rate that they can offer. They're going to put you on the highest rates, and you cannot change until Ofgem has agreed the process and said that you can leave. So that means that you could be stuck paying these high rates for months on end. Also, your credit, if you were in credit with your previous supplier, that may not be guaranteed. So you'd have to fight tooth and nail to make sure that you get that credit. Whereas an energy consultancy will make sure that they get all of this resolved for you. So there are hundreds of energy consultants out there and brokers. So how do you make a decision on which one would be right for you and your business? It's not for me to make that decision or to try and sell our services, but I'm just going to give you some credentials of what Full Power offer and why you might want to use us as an energy consultancy. So we have been in the industry since 1997. Like Rob, it is our 25th year anniversary this year. And in that time, we've become industry experts. We've built up strong relationships with over 40 suppliers. So we know how to make sure that we're offering the most competitive rate and the right product, the right tariff for your business. And we also have received a 5 Gold Star Trusted Service Award from FIFO. So, go along, have a look at our reviews. We've got some outstanding reviews on our page. We're also the first energy consultancies that offer an AQA accredited training course. The AQA is the governing board that that mark the GCSEs. So we are the first one to have an actual AQA accredited training that we pass on to all of our partners. We are one in only 26 brokers in the UK that are approved to sell E.ON's products. And we are ranked top 15 brokers in the Cornwall Insight. So the Cornwall Insight is an independent management consultancy. They focus purely on the energy industry in the UK. And we're also award winners. So We've been up for nominees. We're award winners at the Energy Live Consultancy Awards, which is called TELCA. If you're within the industry, you probably have heard of them before. So at this current time, in this current market, timing is absolutely everything. And it's really important for your business to make sure that you're using a well-established energy consultant who can help navigate through these times and offer some solutions to your business on how to be more energy efficient, how to reduce your costs, and also to make sure that you're put with the right supplier, with the right price and at the right time. So thank you for listening to me, and I'll open it up to any questions.